a lot of people view AI as a tool. I think it's so much more. I think it has to be two things. Number one, it has to be part of a culture. And number two, it's a fluency. It's a capability the organization has to build. I got access to Claude for Excel, which I think is the probably biggest innovation the world's seen in the last 100 years from a finance perspective. Over the weekend, I got used to it and I just started building with Claude Code some programs that I wanted to do. I really overbuilt for my first round of this. And I was trying to put in some API connections to live bank feeds that I just had no business.
You built a hotel when you just needed a house?
I just needed a house. And so part of what that was, though, was a learning process for me. You had a podcast guest on and y'all were talking about running. And I think you're a big runner yourself, right?
Yeah.
Me, who never runs, do you think I could come out and run a marathon with you right now?
That would be difficult.
But if I sit back and train and say, hey, let me go do my first mile and then work at that, learn some technique, get endurance in there, over time, I can go run the race with you. And so really the mistake I made when I was first starting my AI journey was I was trying to run that marathon with somebody before I even knew how to run my first mile. Really what I think the journey that everybody needs to go with AI is start where they're at. This is really a fluency and skill. People are afraid to build. We've seen this throughout Rapid SOS, and I've seen this when I talk to other finance people. People are given Claude and they have no clue what to do. And so I think everybody has to be given a path to say, here's how you produce your skills. Another comparison I make to it is the MBA. 20 years ago, everybody, nights and weekends, you went and got your MBA. That is what helped you get to the next level of your career. And really AI is in the same place right now. Everybody has to understand this is no different than an MBA. It's a skill that you're going to have to build on. The second part of that is how businesses embrace this. You see two sets of companies. One set of company goes out and says, here's AI. We want you to use it for this specific use case. And we're going to track exactly what you're doing, how many tokens you're going to spend. And we're going to want immediate results. Then I think you have another set of companies which are just, we don't care what you use it for. Go out there and explore. And I think AI is in such an early phase of adoption that the companies that are telling their teams, go figure out what you can use it for and just innovate and adopt. Think of yourself as an entrepreneur. And really the cost of this in the first 6 months needs to just be the same thing as investing R&D into product. That people have to figure out how they use it. And it's different for every team. Finance team uses AI different than a sales team does. And so I really think if you can build a culture where everybody thinks about this as an entrepreneur, they have experimentation, and they're also told, hey, you got to go build your skill set in this. I think you're going to have some pretty significant outcomes that'll drive the company forward.
Well, something that you said that really stuck with me is you got to think about this as inspiration versus training.
Yeah, 100%. For me, a lot of what I encourage people to actually do when they get AI is actually don't even build on work products. One of the problems we have in our accounts receivable department is how do we bring everything to a collection portal? So a lot of people were trying to build on that. I actually said, go build on something you enjoy. So one person actually used it for their fantasy football league. And so I'm going to create some type of software that I can get in here and do a better job of managing my rosters. There's another person who used it for their wedding. I think what happens when you do that is, number one, you get this kind of energy about it. And then all of a sudden it's not work, it's play. The other thing I tell everybody is you haven't really built anything until you share it with your friends. And so, this person who built this fantasy football league, going and showing that to his friends, all of a sudden it had real world consequences. What I'm building, people are like actually going to judge me on. And I think it's in a healthy way. When people start to really look at it as like, how do I become passionate about this? And they become good friends with it. And then it's not just this tool over here on the side. We're having a conversation this morning with how do you personify your AI? Is it a he, she, they, them? It's pretty interesting that when people start to get that type of relationship, I think they have so much more power with it.
Is there a proficiency progression that you've observed going on?
Going back to the example we were talking about running, you're at a much higher progression on this than I am. So I've laid out kind of 3 type of phases that I think everybody goes through in their journey with AI. And so the first one is really, how do you apply AI? And this is where I think most people traditionally use it. I'm going to take a spreadsheet and put this into Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT. I'm going to put an email in here. I'm going to have it search my drive. And really what it's doing from that is it's taking existing workflows you have and it's drafting documents or summarizing things. Then from there, it's, okay, now how do I take this and actually build something with this? So it could be taking a skill and say, I'm going to build a skill that will actually automate some of this workflow for me and actually do some of the things. And I'm doing this without having to have any engineering involvement in. Maybe I'm creating some type of app that I can get on. Then you really get to the third stage, which is how do you really agentify stuff this or automate? And so how are we actually having it perform the workflow for us? And so I think each one of these builds on each other. And I think you got to start at the beginning and master each level before you go to the next one. But I think that really then will take somebody through the progression of how they can master AI.
Maximore, get your Maximore here. Sorry, I just came from selling Cracker Jacks at the ballpark. Everyone in finance is adopting AI right now. The problem? It's a dozen disconnected tools. Yeah, one for revenue, one for AP, one for the close, and each one needs training and documentation. And the expertise to run them lives in your head, not the systems. Maximore takes the opposite approach. One autonomous finance platform for the whole operation. Order to cash, procure to pay, the close, cash management, and reporting. It all runs on a unified finance context that pulls from your ERP, billing, banks, even email and Slack. No rip and replace. Maximore runs on self-learning agents that learn how your team already works. No prompts to wire, no workflows to build, nothing to document. Every output is audit ready, and when a call needs human judgment, it escalates for review because the agents optimize, not just execute, and your KPIs keep on improving. One PE-backed customer posted 98% of transactions straight to their ERP, no error rate. The other 2% go to a human before posting. You pay only for real outcomes, not seats. See it at maximore.ai. That is maximor.ai.